You know, even a lot of our city council people, they don't really know who Mark Hamm is yet.
But they soon will. This month on Inside Moore, we'll take a closer look at Moore's newest city council member, Mark Hamm, and later...
And I told my teacher, and she thought I was crazy, and so did everybody else.
See how a Moore High School senior started a foundation that is now helping kids across the state and providing a little hope for families when they need it most. That's all coming up right after this. According to the Humane Society, approximately 5 to 7 million companion animals enter shelters nationwide every year in the United States. Of those, approximately 3 to 4 million are euthanized. Less than 2% of cats and only 15 to 20% of dogs are returned to their owners. There are things you can do to help reduce these numbers. Identify your pet with a tag or microchip. Spay or neuter your pet. Contact local shelters as soon as a pet goes missing. And consider adopting a pet from a shelter. The Moore Animal Shelter has a wide variety of dogs and cats to choose from. A complete list can be found online at petfinders.com or by calling the shelter at 793-5190. In April of this year, a new city council member was sworn in at City Hall, Mark Hamm. Being brand new on the council, most citizens, city staff, and even fellow council members have only seen his serious side, if that. But there's a lot more to Mark Hamm than meets the eye. For example, most people might be surprised to know that Mark Hamm can ham it up with the best of them.
When I ask you a question, it's very important.
He's actually a stand-up comedian.
I have different characters that I've created over time. I have a coach character, a Richard Simmons character, Uncle Winston, a story time with Uncle Winston, a magician character. I have a Deputy Dan. I have all these different characters that I will do.
And he finally got to the edge of it, and he looked to his left, or that way.
And I go to a lot of church camps, and I'm doing something for the Tulsa Public Schools in June. So I've gone to school assemblies, things for Moore High School, and just have an opportunity to be in front of a crowd and to make them laugh.
In fact, most of Mark's comedy is geared toward kids with a character-building message, something he also emphasizes as a Sunday school teacher in the youth department at First Baptist Church in Moore.
So you just get an opportunity to be a part of somebody's life for just a brief time. But in our junior high and high school years, so much happens. And all it takes is just one bad choice or one bad decision to change your life forever. So I see it as an opportunity to be in there and to hopefully help guide them and direct them and to emphasize good decision making and be a good, productive person and to be everything that God has intended you as a Christian to be.
Mark's daytime job is an officer with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Department, where he met his best friend, Pyro. Pyro is a retired drug dog, but now just chases sticks instead of illegal narcotics. Working with the Sheriff's Department gives Mark a unique perspective when relating with kids and the challenges they face. It also contributes to his perspective as a member of the City Council, as does his volunteer job, serving as a volunteer firefighter for the city of Newcastle.
Two of the biggest expenses on any city are their police and their fire. It takes almost half of the budget. And those fire trucks and police cars and equipment and training and personnel are just incredibly expensive. $450,000 for one fire truck, and even more for some of them. But we need that stuff. You know, we want to know if our house catches on fire, that they're going to be able to put it out. Or if we're sick, we can call and the ambulance will be there. If somebody's getting into our home or breaking into our cars, or we just need help, that the police are going to be there. And they're going to be well trained and do what needs to be done. And I really do appreciate what our firefighters do. I'm glad to get to be a volunteer and to support and to help them.
In the midst of everything else he's doing, Mark Hamm also finds time to fly, or at least learn to fly. He's now in the middle of getting his pilot's license.
I've been working on getting my private pilot's license for a little while, and that's been a real passion. It's been something that's been very terrifying at times when you're up in the airplane all by yourself, especially when you take that first solo flight. And taking off and flying is okay, but the airplane's going to come down and you want it to land safely. And it was very terrifying, but my instructor had confidence that I could do that, or he wouldn't have let me go. But it's been rewarding, and been working on that for a while. It's expensive, so I haven't completed my training yet, but I hope to complete that soon.
And now, as of April, Mark can add to his varied list of experiences that of more city councilmen.
You know, even a lot of our city council people, they don't really know who Mark Hamm is yet. I'm, you know, the serious, whatever. I don't know how they perceive me, but I'm just Mark. You know, I love life, and I want to do good things for our community. I want to work with our city, and we're going to have different opinions and different ideas, and we're going to talk about that stuff. But it's never personal. It's just about us saying this is what we think we need to do, and then we all come to a consensus and make a decision, and then go on to the next thing.
But for those who know Mark really well, particularly the kids in his youth group, it may take a little bit to convince them the stand-up comedian can really stay serious all the way through a council meeting.
And sometimes it's hard for them to take me serious because they've seen my comedy, and they've seen me do a Richard Simmons or a coach or a magician, and so they see me as a city councilman, and that's just funny to them that I've been able to go from one extreme to the other. But you have to be able to do that. Again, you can't be serious all the time, and you can't be a silly person all the time. There's a balance in there.
Visible progress is being made on the new Public Safety Center, now under construction at the corner of Main and Broadway in Old Town Moore. Utility infrastructure has been added and foundational elements are underway. Here you can see stem walls beginning to rise out of the ground as the overall layout of the building starts to take shape. The new 51,000 square foot facility will house the Moore Police Department, municipal courts, and the Emergency Management Department. It's expected to be completed in the early part of 2014. Stay tuned to Inside Moore for updates on this and other municipal construction projects taking place in the city of Moore. Tyler is a pretty brave kid. First diagnosed with autism, Tyler's family later learned he also has a progressive genetic disease called Friedreich's ataxia.
As he grows older, his nerve tissues become more and more affected, and so he's losing motor control in his hands and feet and legs. It also affects his heart, and eventually can affect his speech and vision sometimes too.
To help combat these effects, Tyler's doctors recommended he get an iPad with special apps that help with fine motor coordination and speaking skills. But as you can imagine, iPads are not the sort of thing insurance usually covers.
So I had started doing some fundraising to get Tyler an iPad, and Syndey Smiles came alongside us and helped with the fundraising and kind of gave us the last big push to get the amount that we needed to get his iPad for him. And they threw in, some extra iTunes cards for him to be able to get some apps. So that was the really big thing that they did for Tyler.
Syndey Smiles is a Moore-based, nonprofit organization that assists children and families in Oklahoma with serious medical conditions. They've helped numerous kids across the state, like this little girl who needed specialized medical equipment to assist with her situation. And amazingly, it was all started by a Moore High School senior, Adam Graham.
It's really funny, the other day I went into the bank to make her deposit, and they told me, they said, well, you're not Adam Graham, are you? And I said, well, yeah. I said, here's my driver's license. I said, well, you're not old enough to be president of a foundation and have a bank account. I said, yeah, I am. And all the time people are always saying, well, you won't succeed, but people don't, I don't think a lot of people look at it as kids my age can do things like this.
But they would be wrong. Adam is in fact doing it and rapidly growing the reach of the Syndey Smiles Foundation to impact more kids in Oklahoma. Part of the reason for his drive might be his personal connection to the project. The foundation is named after his niece, Syndey. Syndey became very ill in 2007 during her first grade year, and despite extensive testing, doctors could not determine what was wrong with her. She eventually passed in 2010, and while devastating for the family, Adam decided to start something that would memorialize her life, the Syndey Smiles Foundation.
Something in me just clicked. I was like, I'm gonna have a foundation, and we're gonna honor it in Syndey's name, and we're gonna help children. And I told my teacher, and she thought I was crazy, and so did everybody else. My aunt didn't really want to do it, and just because Syndey had just passed away, and I guess I could have waited. I should have waited a little bit longer, but I wanted to do it right then and get it going.
My husband and I talked about it, and we decided that, it'd be good if we could help other children that don't have insurance or that their insurance doesn't pay for certain things, that the foundation could help children and their families.
Carrie now serves on the board of Syndey Smiles Foundation and works with Adam to assist other kids.
Well, it's wonderful, but it's very difficult because I see a lot of Syndey and these other kids.
It really humbles me about how everybody else is, and just to think twice before you judge somebody, and never to stare back at that kid and go, hey, what's wrong with him? Or when Syndey, that would always happen with Syndey, somebody would point and say, what's wrong with Syndey? And it would really upset Syndey. She never could understand, and it's really helped me with that, just understanding about different kids and that everybody's different and there's a reason for everything.
Syndey Smiles Foundation accepts donations of new or gently used medical equipment in addition to financial contributions. They are an official nonprofit, and all contributions are tax deductible. If you'd like to help with the donation, or if you know a family who might benefit from Syndey Smiles Foundation, check out their website at sydneysmiles.org or call them at 248-6465. Kids like Tyler will be glad you did.
It's an ongoing relationship now of their support, and that's really valuable to me as a mom of a child with special needs.